Welcome to week 2 of scientific communication. This week we will take a look at the differences between review articles and research articles, and then we will focus on review articles. And then in week 3 we will focus on research articles. Let's take a look at the comparison of these two. And this diagram does a nice job of comparing them. It also illustrates why I ask you to do concept maps and create figures for some of the concepts and the ideas, because it really allows you to see that in a very clear way what's going on, rather than reading a description of what is a review article in a paragraph and what is a research article in another paragraph. The review article takes a particular topic that has been published on quite a bit and summarizes the information that we currently have. This is considered a secondary source because it's not putting out new data. So it discusses what's already known in the field, and then it can also be used to identify gaps in that knowledge. Often when a person writes a review paper, it's because they're trying to say, this is where we've been, now this is what we need to do in the future. There's often no set layout, although typical journals will always have what they want it to look like. But often what you'll have is you may have an introduction, and then because you're going to talk about a variety of different concepts, you might have section headings that go with those different concepts, as opposed to a typical scientific research paper where you're going to have introduction, methods, results, etc. No original research being presented, so no new data. So you're not going to see a method section or a data analysis section in a review paper. It's often written for a more general audience, although that's not always true, because we do see review articles written in peer-reviewed scholarly scientific journals that clearly are really more for the scientific community. And they're just trying to say, okay, everyone in science, this is where we are now and where we need to go. You also will find some of these written more for a general audience, but often those are in different journals. Those might be more in journals like Scientific American or National Geographic. And they are typically written more for a general public, and they're often written by a science journalist as opposed to an actual researcher in science. Now, the research article, because it's presenting data and often the results of an experiment, you will see that it will follow that scientific method. So we'll have an introduction that gives us a background and tells us what questions are being asked in this particular paper. So this is a little bit like a mini review with the current research questions identified. Then we will conduct an experiment, so we're going to have methods in there, and then the findings of those experiments, which would be in our results section. Because this is original new research data, is considered a primary source. And this is often written at a very advanced level because it's written really for other scientists for the most part, to say, here's my piece of this puzzle of this current research that we're all doing on this particular topic. They're both written by subject experts in the field, again, unless it's one that's written more for the general public and it's a science journalist. And then they also are typically published in scholarly peer-reviewed journals. But again, we do have those other journals that are geared a little bit more for the general public and often are not considered peer-reviewed journals. Let's look at what you'll be doing this week for review articles. Here we are in the course content in week 2 on review articles. You have your assignment checklist. So you can see you're going to be reading chapters 4 and 11. Chapter 4 describes the different types of scientific literature sources, and then Chapter 11 focuses on term papers and review articles and the difference between those. So we are going to be trying to focus more on a review article. We also have several videos for you to watch. One kind of goes a little bit more with Chapter 4, the different types of writing, and then the second one goes a little bit more with Chapter 11, looking specifically at review articles. Then you're going to do a concept map of the 2 chapters and those videos. After you do your concept map, you're going to go and you're going to find a peer-reviewed scientific review article. What I suggest that you do is try to find something that is connected to the topic of your research question for your grant proposal. So at the very end of the semester, you're going to do a grant proposal in this class. If you can do some of these intermediate assignments working towards that, your life will be a lot easier because you'll be sort of getting several things done at once. If you don't know what your question is, this can be a discovery time for you. And then maybe you will use some of those. So you're not required to use what you do here in your grant proposal, but it'll sure be easier on you if you do. You're going to find a review article, you're going to read it, and then you're going to make a concept map of that review article. Now I have a few other sources here for you. Here we have a link for CSE style citation. CSE is Council of Science Editors. It's what is shown in your textbook, and it is also typically what we see throughout scientific writing. We are going to use within CSE the name year, author year format. And you'll see what that means. If you're writing a paragraph and you're citing someone within the paragraph, at the end of the sentence, typically you would put the author's last name and the year that it was done. That's what we mean by author year format. And that will show you how to do that. It's also in your textbook. This link will also help you if you need help understanding how to search library databases. You can go in and see how you might specifically search for a review article. Now, there are some journals out there that are specifically produce review articles, annual review of ecology and systematics, and all of the different annual reviews. So you might have annual review of genetics, annual review of molecular biology. All of the annual reviews obviously are reviews. Then you also have some like Trends in Ecology and Evolution. Those are all review papers. You have some that's all they have, and then you have others that will have typically a mix. Like if you go to the journal Nature or Science, they'll usually have a mix of some research articles and maybe one or two review articles. And typically what you'll see is up at the top, it'll usually say whether it's a research or a review article. If it doesn't, one of the easiest ways to tell is to scroll through and see if they have a methods section. If they have a methods section and then a results and data analysis, that's a research article. It's not a review article because a review article isn't presenting new stuff, so they're not going to have methods and results sections. So here are our drop boxes. First, you have the concept map of the chapters in the videos, and then you're going to take this paper that you find, and in assignment 2B, you're going to post it into a discussion, create your concept map. That's your first part of your discussion. The second part of your discussion is that you're going to go and look at two other students' concept maps. Looking at their concept map, you're going to write a paragraph where you are telling them what you think their paper was about. And you're going to do this for two students. And it tells you here, if you see another student already has two replies, find another student to reply to. That way all of us can get feedback on what we've done. The reason I'm having you do this assignment is that you've just created a concept map. Let somebody else look at it and see if they're getting the right message. Because if they're not getting the right message, then there's two obvious reasons for that. One is they just didn't really look at your concept map clearly enough, or maybe your concept map didn't deliver the story quite as accurately as it could have. And it's important because that's what you're going to be doing in a review paper. You're going to be taking information from other people and putting it into a story of your own, and you want to make sure that you're translating that, you're putting it into your story accurately. This is kind of our way of seeing if you're grasping what you're reading, and then when you relay that, are other individuals getting the correct information from that? So I think this will be a useful tool for us to go back and forth with this. So I highly encourage you, after two of your fellow students have responded to your concept map, go and look and see what they said about it and ask yourself, is that really what I was trying to convey in my concept map? Have fun with concept maps, have fun exploring the review literature. If you have any questions, as always, please email me, come to office hours, and I can meet with you and try to help you.